Hello everyone, Maurice and welcome to Things Invest, talk about investing, finance, professional development. For today's video, terms only. The investment I'm going to talk about today will be Ethereum ticker ETH. First, just want to say happy Tuesday, everybody. Hope you have a great Tuesday and the week so far. With respect to Ethereum, as I'm recording around 9:27 a.m. on the Eastern time, currently trading like the $1743 level, up about 0.90%. With respect to the anticipated Janet Yellen meeting that we've had yesterday, it seems like with respect to the media affectation that has spread through, from the synopsis of the meeting so far, based on the verbiage that I've read through all the articles that came out, that are depicting around the meeting that happened yesterday, collectively speaking, there isn't really anything specific or any release of the specific transcripts that came out from the meeting yesterday. It seems like it was more of just brainstorming discussions on how are they going to be basically establishing some regulatory recommendations going forward, right? So they haven't really released anything that is strategic. It was more of just a foreshadow of a plan that's coming out. And just to reinforce, right, Yelling, the reasons that she's decided to, obviously initialize this meeting, it really stemmed from, her concern that she has raised back in February when she warned the Federal Reserve and the public world that the misuse of crypto assets has been a growing problem, alongside with like cyber attack triggered by global pandemic. At the time, she acknowledged the promise of these new technologies, but also warned about her vision of the reality, stating that cryptocurrencies has been used to launder the profits of online drug trafficking, and they have been a tool to finance terrorism. Obviously, the words are extremely negative, right? She obviously maybe have a certain understanding or a level of understanding with respect to crypto assets, and I don't blame her specifically. She's in a person of power, and with respect to the power dynamics, being a regulator of financial assets in the U.S., she's supposed to be asking the right questions, right? But with respect to the level of sophistications and the growth of innovations that we've been experiencing with crypto assets so far, it might be a challenging factor for her to know exactly how to handle the situation in a strategic perspective going forward. But obviously, with media affectation, publication companies are, supposed to be reporting based on, how the representative are presenting themselves. They are acting with ethical bias, but they are supposed to be telling what they see. With that being said, obviously will drive a lot of negative media affectation because of the specific adjectives and verbiage that we've been hearing from Janet Yellen. With that anticipation on top of the duration that we've had yesterday, right, basically bleeding out the market by ripping off the bandage very slowly yesterday across the market. Also, with respect to the yesterday's equity pump that we also incurred, with that reversal that we experienced across all the growth stocks, obviously will drive some anti-correlation effects to the crypto market, where subsequently drive us down to break through the $1,800 level and test the $1750 level. And I know earlier this morning we test somewhere around like the $17, $18 level and subsequent rebound because of the anticipation for the B Word Summit that's expected to happen tomorrow. Per my discussions yesterday in the technical analysis, I foresee some sort of like a neutral day today, right? Because of the net cancels out effect with respect to the meeting that we had from Jen Yelling, obviously the negative affectation on more of a foreshadow perspective, but also with respect to the catalyst that we'll be experiencing tomorrow, that's leaning more of the positive spectrum. So obviously with that combined, it's going to net cancels out, right? So I'm going to go through a technical analysis again to see how we're trending going forward, right? Are we going to see more of a sell-off coming? Are we going to see more of a surge coming? Ahead of the summit tomorrow, and obviously with respect to the FOMC meeting we'll have on the 28th, and the London Fork on August 4th coming up. So stay tuned, stick around, let's make some money. Alright, so moving on to the technical analysis for Ethereum ticker ETH. I'm recording this at 9:46 a.m. on the Eastern time, basically 15 minutes after market open. With respect to Ethereum, it's currently trading like the $1742 level, up about 0.80%. Let's check out the equity market real quick. You can see that we're currently kind of hovering away right now. We're not really doing much. We're just kind of trading on a sideways fashion right now. But with respect to the sell-off that we should be experiencing right now, I think we are kind of experiencing at the moment right now. We had a little bit relatively a massive sell-off, but subsequently rebounded yesterday. you could see that V-shaped recovery that we're currently confirming on the RSI perspective. However, we do have a little bit more high propensity to leap down a little bit more because we do have that gap that we've formed here, and also with respect to the cross section we just formed, recently. So it makes sense to further the rates until we fully recuperate to get more momentum ahead of the sector rotation we'll be experiencing in Q3 or later in Q2, if you may, right? So with respect to Nasdaq, comparable, we are in the same basically trajectory going forward. I foresee some sort of a market correction coming up with respect to the equity market coming. So that's logical. I think that's historically has been comparable in terms of like the timing of a correction in the market cycle perspective, right? So let's look at the Ethereum real quick. Right, you can see that with respect to Ethereum right now, we are basically way below the $1,750 level that I've identified previously, right? But I would say we are basically at the resistance level of the 1750 because we're basically off by $6, so we're not like completely off. So I kind of discount and adjust this based on how close in proximity we are to the price level that we've identified the resistance level. Knowing the fact that RSI is already very depleted, MACD's already kind of forming of a curvature of going back up now, especially with the two catalysts that we'll be experiencing for tomorrow, which is the B-Word Summit. I should foresee some buying pressure today, but obviously net canceled out with the Janet Yellen, adjectives that she's mentioning, right? A lot of negative words that she's obviously using for media affectation, which subsequently obviously drives some fear, a lot of fear mongering among public investors. That's driving a lot of emotional roller coasters for people. That subsequently they feel like, oh, maybe it makes more sense to me to like buy for a later dip, if you may, if we further crash down, right? But if you know the technical analysis, we know that the crash is has been derated for quite some time now, and I think with respect to reversal, based on the chart is saying right now, the RSI should be reversing soon. So I think we're very close to the bottom, knowing the fact that we are basically a feet away from the floor at the bottom. We should be reversing up. I think the bottom is truly at the 1700. To be honest with you, based on the technical analysis, I don't foresee us going for any further. So 1750 would be a level for you to dollar cost average or the current level right now. I actually bought 2 Ethereum early this morning. When I woke up, it was trading around like the 1730 something, and I was like, oh, that's a really amazing price point. So let me just buy a little bit more. So I decided to buy 2. I will continue to chip away if we hit the 1700 later, but I don't foresee that to be happening. I foresee some sort of a reversal coming, knowing the fact that the chart is telling me so already. On top of the fact that we've been selling off ever since how long ago? Ever since the 7th, right? So we've been selling off for about like 2 weeks now. So it's about time with the reversal coming. And also we're testing a very strong resistance level that we've tested before back on the 26th, and that was the floor. And then also another floor on the 23rd, also another floor on the 19th, and then a bunch of times in the past, right? You can see how much we have done in the past. Like, let's see. Basically from the February 3rd all the way to March 30th. So basically 2 months of durations of this consolidation zone. So 1750 is an amazing level to buy at. But if we crack that, I think the next level that we'll leap down to will be potentially the 1559. But firstly, we'll obviously go through those, the flat numbers first, right? You go down to 1700, and then you go down to 1600, and then you go down to 1550. Right, but the likelihood of us getting there would be rare because the RSI is already relatively depleted and we're kind of curving up already, so the reversal should be happening, right? And also got questions with respect to Bitcoin. What's the level next, right? So Bitcoin, I think we do have a little bit of a drop coming. The next level of resistance will be somewhere around like the 2800. But if we break that, the next deep fall would be, you see a gap that we have formed in the past, right? There's a reason why I drew this yellow line here. The level of next resistance will be anywhere around like the 2450. So we do have a relatively large sell-off coming if we break this resistance. And I think the likelihood of actually getting there will be relatively possible, right? But I don't think we'll actually go all the way to the 24. I think we might get to the middle of the spectrum, like 2850. But if we break the 2850, we're definitely going down to the 2450, right? So that's something to be mindful of, right? So let's go back to Ethereum because they do have some correlations in that way. But obviously, Ethereum, in terms of the chart, is a lot more prominent, and the fall is a little bit less steep in comparisons to Bitcoin. So I feel good about 1750 if you want to buy it right now, or if you want to be even more cautious, buy it to 1700. But you might not get there because again, we're really depleted right now, right? So that's the level I would be playing at. I am going to be buying maybe two more Ethereum. I bought two already. I might buy another two if we hit the 1700 later today or across the weekend coming up. Knowing the fact that the B Word Summit, we might see some selling pressure and they'll rebound on Thursday, some sell off on Friday and Saturday, and then some potential rally ahead of the 28th on the FOMC meeting, and then the 29th is the Thursday. We subsequently will see how that goes depending on the FOMC meeting, obviously, and then the weekend, and then we should be seeing some type of momentum ahead of the August 4th London Fork debut that's going to be expecting next month. Alright, just to recap on the technical analysis, again, we are at the $1,750 level. It's a steal level. And per our discussions and technical analysis, we are leaning very towards the oversold level. Right, so if we get down to the 1700, we'll be basically at the Earth crust. And by that point, we'll be reversing relatively quickly. And again, with respect to the technical analysis on the chart we've seen so far, we are reversing right now. But something to be cautious of, right? Because we are going to be seeing some volatile couple of weeks coming up, and days especially coming up with the B Word Summit. So contingent on anything specifically negative towards Ethereum tomorrow, we will have a high likelihood of actually going to the 1700. And if we have really, really negative news, right? Let's say like a double whammy with respect to the 21st, negative again, and then the weekend affectation, more sell off because people just give up, they don't want to be feared. And then the FOMC is negative again, we will have a high likelihood of going to the 1550, which is the next level of consolidation zone that we'll be going to, right? But after all of that, right? After you get like all this stomach wrenching type of experience, the London Fork is a relatively macro catalyst that's coming, right? So that should percolate some positive news. And I think by that point, the institution's gonna see, oh, we've sold off so much already. It might be time for us to get in. And by that point, it will be some sort of like media affectation or type of manipulation happens again with the consecutive positive news that we'll be seeing going forward, and then subsequently reverse the trends, and then we'll have another bull cycle again. That's very logical, and it's something that we've seen in the past week so far, and it's something I have actually talked about historically as well. So something to be mindful of. 20% corporate adoption, 9,800, 5.3 times your money if you buy at 1850. Alright, so that's it for today. Respect my technical analysis on the Ethereum Ticket ETH. Hope you guys all have a great Tuesday and the rest of the week. You'll probably see me again later today or probably tomorrow. My schedule's relatively busy today, and really appreciate you guys for dropping by. And again, I've been seeing a lot of scam messages on the message sections or the comment sections of the channels. I do not have any WeChat numbers or email or Patreon at the moment. I know some of you guys are requesting Patreon, but you know, it's the reason why I'm doing this. I want to give free financial advice, right? I don't want to be just charging people for advice. I enjoy doing this. I take time out of my day to want to give to people as much as I can, right? So I don't want to be charging people to give them advice. I think of this as like a form of me helping people. I love helping people, and volunteering or helping people shouldn't be compensated for. You want to just be doing out of your free time, right? So that's something that I want to be emphasize on this channel. But yeah, appreciate you. Stay tuned for next coming up.